Some sort of law that you have to wear white socks and loafers when you drive an NSX-R. This absolute legend, this halo car, has just 276 brake horsepower. That's modern hot hatch territory. But you drive it and you wonder why you'd ever need any more. This is the anti-numbers car, and it's absolutely amazing.
The first generation of the NSX-R was sold only in Japan, also with 276 brake horsepower, between 1992 and 1995. And that's the car in which the famous footage of Senna at Suzuka was recorded. It was the very first Type R Honda, and although there were a couple of other colours available, Championship White, contrasting with the red H badge, was definitely the halo hue.
This is obviously a second generation NSX-R, so from 2002, a decade after the first, and that sort of plays into the whole anti-numbers car thing even more, because by this point, well, it really was behind the curve, behind its competitors in terms of, well, power output. There was obviously the Japanese agreement about not having more than 276 brake horsepower. Turns out you don't need more.
Only about 150 examples of this second generation NSX-R exist, making it about 3 times rarer than the first generation. This one has just 16,000 kilometres on the clock and is about to go up for auction with Broad Arrow at Villa d'Este, so I thought I should give it a proper shakedown in case it ends up in bubble wrap for the rest of its life.
As soon as you get into this, it just feels absolutely spot on in pretty much every regard. The seating position is wonderful. These Recaros in here with the, or sort of the yellow carbon fibre aramid weave at the back, which are just so evocative of a particular era. The red carpet too is wonderful. But the view out, that standard, I suppose, NSX view out, low front, see the front arches, but you've just got such amazing visibility in here. Obviously the story is that they took inspiration from the General Dynamics F-16 fighter when they designed the NSX, and well, it just feels so absolutely natural. There's no awkwardness in here.
It's obviously stripped out in some regards, with no airbags, no power locking, thinner carpet, thinner rear glass and manual wing mirrors, all helping towards a 78 kilo or 172 pound reduction. But then there are curious luxuries, like the Recaros being electrically adjustable.
Nonetheless, a curb weight of 1270 kilos or 2,800 pounds is still light enough, and that's from an era when they weren't quoting dry weights or anything else. That's a proper weight. So in today's numbers, you'd probably see them quoting down around about, I don't know, 11 something or other. The steering wheel's spot on as well. 3-spoke, nothing else on it, absolutely perfect. Those yellow needles on the dials as well, sort of fake carbon fibre I think on the dials, which is kind of a bit of a shame, but again dates this car I suppose to that era.
There was, however, real carbon fibre for both the bonnet and the one-piece hollow form rear wing, which Honda claimed was a first for a production car. And although the second gen car definitely isn't as beautiful as the pure pop-up headlight original, it does have a more performance-orientated shape.
Honda described the new bodywork as reducing lift to below zero, which we now tend to call downforce. At the back, obviously, we've got this big rear wing, which delivers 25 kilos of downforce at 100 miles an hour. However, arguably more interesting is the front, because you can't fail to have noticed the big vent here. And that's actually to do with aerodynamics, because underneath they effectively blocked off the exit for the air from the radiators so that they could clean up the airflow underneath and create 36 kilos of downforce at 100 miles an hour. Having blocked it off underneath, and in fact added some fins as well to direct the air around those front arches, they needed somewhere to evacuate the hot air, and that's what that's for.
Those numbers are very much in the realm of aero for stability rather than huge amounts of extra grip. And this is definitely not a car that's just focused on high speed.
The other lovely thing is that as soon as you get into this, there's something to enjoy. At any speed, you can revel in the feel of it.
Foremost in that regard is of course the unassisted steering, which gives you the most fabulously direct sense of connection to the grip you've got at the front.
Superb feel through the brakes as well, pedals exactly where you want them. And then of course there is the gear shift itself. It's beautiful titanium ball on the lever. If you've driven any Type R, you'll recognise the shift, but this is somehow smaller, tighter than any of the others, I think. It's absolutely beautiful. There's quite a weight to it, but a real precision. It's one of those things that you really can enjoy at any speed, but when you're going quickly, you're so thankful for that precision in it. The fact you know exactly where you are in the box, no guessing whatsoever. I always think that a standard NSX can feel quite long. You feel like you've got a lot of car behind you, but in this, it feels smaller somehow, more compact. You feel right in the centre of the car, which of course you are, but it's just different to the standard car. Love these corners with the cambers on them. Really flow through them. Feel front end push. This is a brilliant little circuit in Sweden. And it's got its own history.
This is the Gellerasen Arena near Karlskoga. Situated 2.5 hours west of Stockholm, it is Sweden's oldest permanent race circuit. It started life in 1949 as a mile-long dirt track built in just a week, before developing over the next decade into something akin to the layout of today, although it's undergone quite a few changes over the years.
This is where the first corner used to be. You can see it goes around there, nicely sort of banked, and now it's just runoff for the new first corner.
There also used to be a huge banked velodrome section, which has now been recreated on the modern kart track. The circuit's most famous event is the Cannonloppet, or Cannon Race, and in 1961 it was run for the first time as a non-championship Formula 1 race with some pretty famous names competing, including Stirling Moss.
Moss turned up late. He missed both practice and qualifying, which meant he had to start all the way back there, at the back of the grid, while Jim Clark was up here on pole position. Despite the fact it was only a 30-lap race, he nonetheless came all the way through the field and won. How did he beat Jim Clark? Well, actually it was sort of typical of that kind of era because a lot of the cars expired, including Clark's. Second was local boy, Joe Bonnier.
The circuit underwent a big remodelling and refurbishment in the 1990s, and today stands at just under 1.5 miles in length, hosting rounds of the Scandinavian Touring Car Championship and the Carrera Cup.
This circuit is really fun. Love it through here, just sort of pick it up in the wet, and then you can kind of hold it there, drive it through this one, down through the dip. Oh, it's fun in the drive, but the balance in the wet, it's so much fun. Yes, you notice that the ride is tougher, so they've got stiffer springs and dampers and a stiffer front anti-roll bar as well, and you can feel over bumps that it's pretty unforgiving on the road. You know, it can be a bit of a workout, but it all comes together, obviously with passive dampers as well. The faster you get, the better it gets. So like with the steering, that obviously is pretty heavy at very low speeds, but the steering and dampers sort of wake up together, I suppose, until you find you're in that wonderful sweet spot. And then of course is the engine. This is the 90-degree V6 heart of the car. the C32B engine, which is actually not that different to the standard one. Coolest thing about it, I think, is it has FRM, or fibre reinforced metal liners, which always makes me think of metal matrix frames from Specialized back in the 90s. That enabled them to increase the bore size to 93 millimeters, which is how they got up to 3.2 from 3 litres before. This engine was effectively blueprinted, and they say that they had the rotating parts of the engine 10 times better balanced than the standard one. Obviously, didn't result in any more power, or did it?
Obviously, because of the gentleman's agreement in Japan, the official figure was 276 bhp, but there have always been rumours that all that blueprinting and balancing gave it just a little, perhaps 5% more. Torque, by the way, is 224 pounds-feet at 5,300 RPM.
But the other thing that makes this car, the R, well, more special, I suppose, than the standard NSX is the fact this has a shorter final drive, so it feels quicker. Final drive's down to 4.235 to 1, and so it really punches. Although this is good at low speed, the harder you drive it, the more it gives back to you, the more enjoyable it is, the more precise it feels. Steering and engine, you have to extract the most from them. You have to use all those revs to really get the most, and you want to, because it sounds so good. That induction noise at the top end, what a bark. But this does feel fast, so particularly in the dry, obviously. I think because you are so involved that you're busy, you're engaged with the car absolutely all the time to get the pace out of it. There is no shortcut.
Yes, more power is addictive, but this has a clarity to it, and there is no need for any electronic aids. Even in the best modern supercars with really dialed chassis, there is often still a sense of seeing the dynamics through an electronic curtain. Sometimes it's gossamer thin, but nonetheless necessarily there because of all that power. The NSX-R is pure. If it does something well, it's all because you've managed the pedal, steering and gear shift at your disposal, not a friendly electronic ghost in the machine.
The analogy that I thought of with this, well, it's one from golf. Apologies if you don't like golf. But in golf you have bladed irons, which are the purest irons really. They don't help you out. They have weaker lofts. They're not about how far you can hit the ball really. They're about workability. Whether you want to draw the ball, fade the ball, and if you get it wrong, if you don't hit it sweetly, you know all about it. But when you do, the feel from them is just amazing.
Blades are also really timeless, and that's a quality that shines through in the NSX-R as well. I don't think this driving experience will ever feel outdated.
Perhaps it's no surprise that some of the best bladed irons are made in Japan. Mizuno's, Miura's. This is the bladed iron of the car world. Absolutely pure. It feels so good when you get it right. Having that naturally aspirated engine so that it's as sharp as the chassis. All the feel through the steering, that unassisted steering, feel the front end. I hadn't driven one of these before today, and I was a bit fearful that it wouldn't be as good as I hoped, but it's better.
The NSX-R really is one of the very best driver's cars ever. Not just one of the best for its power, not just one of the best from Japan, without qualification. It absolutely deserves its hero status. It absolutely deserves that association with the sublime driving talents of Ayrton Senna.